think that when I was young, there was really nothing else that I ever thought about doing. I can't really answer the question why I wanted to be in a band, more that it was the only thing I ever thought to do. When I was probably 3 or 4 years old, I found my dad's old collection of like rock and roll stuff, you know, Aerosmith and Kiss and Motley Crue and all that. And from that time on, there was really nothing else that I ever wanted to do. I mean, I played sports and I did other stuff that kids do, but for me, the only career, I guess, that I ever wanted was to be in a band or to play rock music. I think that I always felt as if this band was special, or what I was doing was special. Maybe that's just the sense of strength of self or whatever that I've had since I was so young, is that I guess I always felt like whatever I was doing was the right move. So, but in terms of the camaraderie or the unit that is our band, I think, you know, around 2010, when Cece joined the band, we really kind of, I guess, got together in a much closer way, and we started touring more extensively. And around that time is when we started writing the stuff for Set the World on Fire, and obviously that was a huge milestone for the band. So from that moment on, I really feel like the band was solidified. You know, if I never really had a plan B, and I still don't. I think my biggest plan B was to be a superhero. So, you know, from that time frame, so maybe Batman would have been my other career. I don't necessarily feel anxious about releasing new work, you know, in like the nerves sense. I get more excited, and I can't wait for people to hear it. You know, like whenever we record something new or do anything new, it's the most excitement that I have is just thinking of when the fans hear it and see it and how they'll feel about it, because we all are so excited about our stuff and feel such a strong sense of interest towards the band and what we're doing, that to us it's like, we're stoked for people to see it and hear it. You know, I think everybody at some point in your life, you have like that moment that you kind of cling to as the, you know, I feel awful or whatever else. But I've had a real moment of near-death experience, I suppose, in Japan when we experienced the 8.9 earthquake and the tsunami in Tokyo. I remember walking out of sound check, we were rushed out of the building and all the buildings were shaking and swaying. And that's the only time in my life that I really ever had that in my head, where it was like, you know, I could very easily die right now. You know, I'm watching buildings topple over onto each other and the ground's splitting. And, but apart from that, you know, I don't think that there's been too many opportunities for me to be like, oh, I'm going to die. I try not to think about death. We're all going to do it, so I try not to dwell on it. Sometimes anger will come out. I can think of times in my life where I've seen something that upset me before I went on stage, and maybe the angst or anger of that will come out a bit more in my performance. But I don't know. I'm kind of always a bit emotional on stage. I try to channel whatever I'm feeling towards the performance that I'm doing. So I don't know. I can't think of any specific or cite any specific examples, but I know that there's been a lot of times where I've maybe been not, you know, I'm not in tears, but certainly the emotion of anger, or the emotion of just letting yourself go, or doing something that is, I guess, a gesture towards what you're feeling. I've had moments on stage, and you know, I think every performer in the world probably does, where you start to feel as if you're in a show where you're kind of going through the motions. You know, you're kind of doing the thing that you did last night, or you're singing the way that you did the day before. And in those moments, I try my best to kind of get out of my head and kind of kick my own ass to make sure I'm giving the best performance I can. And I think it would be lying if I said that every single time I walked on stage, I didn't have a certain said thing that I do and say the same things and do the same things, because, you know, being on tour, you become a creature of habit. But I try to keep it as new and as exciting for the audience as possible, and also for me, because the one thing I will always have is I do have that kind of Christmas morning feeling every time the intro starts and the kids start yelling, and like, I will always get that. You know, for the years that we've been touring, I've always gotten that, and I think that that's, you know, it's important to have that kind of, that, you know, butterfly feeling. I think 15-year-old me would be a big fan of mine. No, I think we would hang out still. 15-year-old me wasn't all that different. I think I probably just said and did a lot more stupid things, but you know, what 15-year-old kid doesn't?